Alright, for this Sci-Fi-Night special, we're heading to my neck of the woods. Hello everybody and welcome to another Sci-Fi-Night special, and of course, Happy Halloween. So in this episode, we're checking out a horror market that's definitely made some strides as of the last couple of years. Horror is usually seen as an American export. From the universal classic monsters to the grimy violence of the 70s, to the slashers of the 80s, to the self-aware, self-referential stuff like Scream and Cabin in the Woods, horror is usually seen as pretty American, with Japanese and other Asian countries holding up pretty strongly as well in other great horror markets. And I think most of us know that Europe actually has quite a bit to offer as well in the horror market, even if we might need to refresh our memories a little bit. Yeah, that's right, you might not remember that the first vampire ever depicted on film was Count Orlok in the 1922 German film Nosferatu. You probably remember Nicholas No Not the Bees Cage in the piece of crap Wicker Man film from 2006.
Not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Oh, my eyes! My eyes! Ah! Ah! And the Oscar goes to...
But may have forgotten the 1973 classic from England.
God in heaven, even these people can't be that mad.
Speaking of the UK, one of the first movie murders seen exclusively from the viewpoint of a killer filming was in Peeping Tom from 1960.
Look out! Take care. You are being watched. We repeat, take care, for you are now alone with a killer.
The French ultra-violent films of late have made waves as well. And the Italian classic Suspiria from 1977 is seen by many as director Dario Argento's best. And speaking of Italian, let's not forget all the sleazy Italian crap that served as either a rip-off of an established film or just pure exploitation. So basically, Euro horror has quite a bit more to offer than you might think. So for this special, I'm actually gonna need a little bit of backup from our friends over at Bitches of Horror. I'm glad to welcome Jasmine Martinez.
Hi.
Was a pretty awesome last name, by the way. And Sarah Gierski.
Hi.
Sarah G. So, ladies, what do you think about the state of Euro horror at the moment?
Well, I definitely think that European horror is much more darker. The screenplays are like darker and are more sinister, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely darker than American films. I think Japanese films are also dark in their own way. It's like more like twisted and like really weird to us Westerners. But Europeans have a tendency to go after the taboo.
And breaking them.
Yeah, breaking them and breaking boundaries and going farther than American films usually. Which is, mainly because of Hollywood and how much control they have to have on every film that they make.
But I do love European horror. My favorite movie is Suspiria, which is from Italy by Dario Argento. And I also love the German Expressionism era with Nosferatu and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So I think that European horror has always been great, but it's been climbing now. Like everyone is realizing, like, wow, European horror is very powerful and beginning to rise.
I think, older, like the Italian films were really big before, and Nosferatu at that time was really big, and now it kind of died out in the 90s, and now it's coming back finally with a bang, because there's so many good European films from this era.
Like now everyone is talking about it.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Even in the States and probably even in Japan, and it's huge now, which is really good.
Yeah, and even
it needs more attention.
Exactly, and even the horror movies from Scandinavia have been to climb a lot.
Yeah, especially Norwegian
Yeah.
films. They are better than us in horror films
they are.
for now.
Oh, we are, because I'm Norwegian.
Yeah,
Yay, I win!
Not me. I got American and Swedish. Or Puerto Rican. I'm not sure if there's any Puerto Rican horror. Maybe.
There should be.
You can check.
You can do the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, but European films are really good. There's a lot of gore and there's a lot of dystopia films.
Depressing films.
Yeah.
That really hit you in the stomach, and you're like, I don't feel scared. I just feel bad.
Also, a lot of fun ones though. Like a UK, they do a lot of comedy ones.
They're good at that.
Yeah, it's really
Yes.
good. I enjoy those a lot.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, that's our thoughts about European horror. Back to you, Sebastian.
So like they said, even though it's not the biggest, Euro horror definitely has quite a presence on the horror scene. So we're each going to talk about 2 Euro horror films that we really dig, and I'm going to get us started with 2007's Wreck from Spain. So many of you might have heard of this film by now, either that or the really shitty American remake called Quarantine.
It might be a little more serious than we thought.
But the original is definitely where it's at. In the film we follow Angela Vidal, a reporter for the local news station doing a piece on a group of firefighters on a night shift. They get called to a building for a seemingly unremarkable case of an elderly woman trapped in her apartment, but when they get there, they realize there is something much, much worse going on. In fact, this is the very beginning of a zombie outbreak. So I'm sure you might be thinking that a found footage zombie film from Spain might not really sound that great, but this is actually a really well made film and it feels so much more real than the Zombie Diaries, Diary of the Dead, and all that other crap.
No sé, joder, cógelas todas. ¡Vamos! Venga, vamos.
So another reason I really love this movie is because I just had the perfect first viewing of it in the theaters, but I'm actually going to touch on that in another video, so let's just get back to the movie. Sure, the 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake probably served as quite a bit of inspiration, as well as the Blair Witch Project and others, but overall this is just superbly well made and very freaky. Vidal being obsessed with getting the story and them being a news team makes for much more sense when it comes to asking why they're still filming. The effects are great and the acting matches as we get a slew of realistic and mostly likable characters trapped in this building. As we follow our survivors, we get to know what created this outbreak. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but these are not your typical zombies. So yeah, this movie is awesome. Check it out if you haven't, and the last part of it is just nerve-wracking. So anyway, before you guys reveal your first pick, what do you bitches of horror think of Wreck?
Yeah, I also really like the movie Wreck, actually. I think it's a really good found footage film. One of the best ones I've seen in that genre. Yeah.
You're definitely one of the best in found footage genre. I accidentally saw Quarantine before watching Wreck, which kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think that Quarantine was that good. It wasn't bad, but with Wreck as well. Wreck was obviously better, but I think that it kind of ruined the film for me a little bit after watching the remake. Unfortunately, I don't dislike it. It's just it's not as good as I hoped because a lot of people were talking about it and it was a big movie and everybody loved it. And then I watched it and I was like, well, it's not. It's okay. It's a fun ride and I love the ending.
Yeah, me too. And I also love the characters. They were actually,
she's cool.
Yeah,
I do like her.
She's very likable, and I also did like the effects. Like when you first see the scary lady running at the camera, that's pretty creepy. That's really good footage.
It has some really good scares in it as well.
Yeah,
it's pretty creepy throughout the film, which is good.
So yeah, Sebastian, you picked a really good film for us to talk about, but I have picked an even better one. And that is Inside, the French film. And wow, this is quite a ride. It's about a pregnant lady named Sarah, beautiful name. And she is about to give birth, like it's her last night before giving birth, so she's at home, like waiting for the water to break or something. And doing stuff that pregnant women do, like Jasmine did.
Yeah, we just wait around for the water to break.
Yeah, sitting on a chair, and then suddenly she notices that someone is like standing outside her window and trying to look in, and she feels uncomfortable, and so she calls the police. But everything is okay. But later, she notices that it wasn't okay because someone's trying to break in.
Yep.
And I do really like the story. I like that it doesn't feature so many characters. It's mostly based on 2 characters, and I really like them. I think they're great, especially the evil woman. She's amazing, and all the effects, amazing.
Yeah, it's really
gore.
good effects in it.
Very creative. Blood is pouring everywhere, and yeah, it's crazy. It's madness. Like, I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. I was like, I gotta show this to my mom. So I watched it again, and I was like, I gotta show this to him and her and everyone. One of the best French movies, I think, for me. So I want to hear. She's been pretty quiet, so yeah, Jasmine, what do you think?
I'm not a big fan of Inside. I think I'm one of the few who actually, doesn't really like it, because most people love it. There was something that happened in the middle. I don't want to say what it was because I'm not sure if everyone has seen it or not. Something that happens in the middle of it that just throws me off completely, and that just made me dislike the movie a lot. I think the acting is pretty good, but her acting in it is a little bit unbelievable for me sometimes. I do like her in other movies, Evil Woman.
Beatrice Dallas.
I think she was too much in certain scenes, and it just became weird and like, okay. Yeah, but that one event that happens, like, it just turned the film around for me.
If you can guess what it is, please comment.
Yes. I'm not saying this is a bad movie per se. Like, it's very well made, but I didn't like it.
Just not for you.
No,
well,
I didn't like it.
Well,
the effects, yes, fantastic, and and the premise as well. Being pregnant and someone coming after your baby.
You know how it feels like. Being pregnant, like
you're afraid of falling down. If someone comes after me with a knife trying to kill me, then I'm gonna be more scared. So definitely the premise and the effects are great, but as a movie in whole, I did not enjoy it as much as I hoped to.
That's too bad. Well, I loved it, and we're curious to hear your thoughts about Inside, Sebastian. So, back to you.
So remember how I mentioned the French ultra-violent wave before? Well, Inside is probably part of it as well. If you liked other French films like High Tension, Frontiers, and Them, then this might very well be up your alley. It's shocking, it's bloody, it's graphic, it's exactly what I meant when talking about the ultra-violent wave of French horror. Personally, I'm not really a huge fan of that style, to be honest, but I'd definitely say that Inside is at the top of the list. Alright, so we're actually going back to Rec for my next pick, which actually goes to the sequel, Rec 2. So it's very rare that a horror sequel will live up to the first, but in my opinion, Rec 2 was one of the best horror sequels in recent years. We pick up right where the first film left off, with the apartment quarantined and the people with co-workers and family in the building trying to find a way in. The super cool and very unusual mythology, that I'm not going to spoil, is very nicely expanded upon, and just as is the case in great sequels, everything good is built up. We get introduced to some cool characters, admittedly not as fun as the cast in the first, but I still like them. The action is amped up as we mostly follow a SWAT team, and while not necessarily as scary as the first, it's still flat out great. Oh, and also I love the scenes with the mounted head cameras.
Martos, informa.
Viene de aquí. La puerta está abierta. Voy a entrar.
Bien, pero ten cuidado.
Alright, so that leaves us with the very last entry, but before we get to that, what do you guys think of Rec 2?
It's good that you picked Rec 2, because I like that it begins where the first one left off. So it feels like a good continuity between films.
I think that's one of the best parts, that it actually is just like a continuation of the first film. It's not a side story or whatnot, it's just an actual, it just continues. Which
so
I really
it feels fresh.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about, well, what happened years ago or what. No. But they do introduce a lot of new and more characters in this one.
It's too many.
Yeah, a bit too many. I mean, I like this sequel. I think it's a good sequel, but not as good as the first one, and not as creepy or scary as the first one.
No, it's more actiony in the second one. The first one is definitely more scary, and it's more new. This one is like you've seen most of it in the first one already.
Yeah, so you know what to expect with this one. one.
Yeah.
If you have seen the first one.
I do think the story of the second one is really cool. Like
it
continues on what's actually going on, and that I do enjoy. But I just think it's just too much action going on and too much yelling. Like, not yelling like, ah, but more like the police were yelling at the priest all the time, and, you know. It just got, like, out of hand at some points.
Yes, we talked about the likable characters in the first one. In this one, there were less of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, I don't know, it was harder to relate and feel like, oh, I don't want him or her to die. So, like, when a character died, I was like...
Yeah, that's kind of
okay.
True, yeah.
Okay.
You just didn't really care, you're like, okay, next.
But there was still some good gore scenes and some zombie scenes and a few characters that popped up that I liked. So I think it's a worthy sequel.
Definitely. It's not the worst sequel I've seen.
No.
Definitely not.
No, it's good. That's a good thing you didn't pick Wreck 3 also. Because,
but I think I probably enjoyed the first one more, even though I
me too.
enjoy as much as other people. So the second one is definitely not as good as the first one, but it's
still
okay.
Good.
Yeah, it's worth a watch, definitely.
And what did you pick, Jasmine?
I picked another Spanish movie called Tesis, or Thesis, which is about a woman who studies snuff film. We're just going to write an essay, I think, on this snuff film. And she finds, or she's looking for the specific snuff film, and things start to happen, and people start, asking questions, and things happen basically. And basically you're trying to figure out who the killer is, or who's doing this snuff film, and you can never really know who it is.
And that's the best part.
Yes.
You're guessing and guessing. You're like, I know who, and then no, you don't.
This is a real mindfuck film. It's really, it just messes with your mind. You're like, oh, is it him? Oh no, it's her. Oh no, it's that guy. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's her. You just keep going back and forth. And that is something I really enjoyed with it, because you never really knew who it was.
And you never lose interest because of it, because you're constantly thinking like, oh, what? How is this possible? It's real good. Yeah, and I like the sort of gray tones in it. Like, it's very gray, like the film, the colors of it. It fits the theme of the snuff film.
Yeah. And it's not like really gore or anything, so all you people who are squirmish about that, it's not a gory film, and it's not really like a jump scare film either. It's more like a thriller horror.
It's more based on atmosphere and the psychological part of the...
Definitely psychological horror.
Yeah.
So even for you non-horror fans out there, it's a really good movie that you should watch. And it's a great film.
Yeah, I think so too. And what do you think about it, Sebastian? Back to you.
Well, there you go. Leave it to Jasmine to bring up a Spanish horror film that I haven't actually seen yet. So, believe it or not, but I haven't actually seen this film. Everything I've heard about it makes it out to be pretty damn great though, and I can't wait to see it. In my opinion, Spain has the strongest horror scene in Europe, which really speaks volumes in regards to what I've said about the Wreck movies and what Jasmine is saying about Thesis. See films like The Devil's Backbone, Julia's Eyes, The Orphanage, KM31, The Baby's Room, and way more just to see why I'm of that opinion. Alright, and for a few quick additions as well, I'd like to recommend the 2005 film The Descent and the 2011 film Kill List, both from the UK.
So thank you, Sebastian, for having us. It was awesome.
Yes, it was really great, and I really hope that we can do more specials in the future together and collaborate. It would be great to do one, in real life with all three of us.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It'd be so much fun.
But I know we live in different locations in Sweden.
Yeah, well, with some planning,
we can go up.
Possible. Anything is possible.
Of course.
But it was really fun talking about European horror since it's so close to home.
Yeah, it was a good theme. Very good theme. And we had our special little theme song, so looking good.
Yeah.
No, but we had awesome time.
And don't forget to watch Bitches of Horror.
Yeah, of course.
And
subscribe and like.
Exactly, and keep watching Sci-Fi-Night because it's a great channel.
It is. We will be sharing more of Sebastian's videos on our Facebook page.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you. stay horrific.
Alright, so that about does it for this Sci-Fi Night special. I want to thank Sarah and Jasmine from Bitches of Horror for being guests on this episode, and I think you may very well see more of them in the future. So, Halloween month continues, trick or treat, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
Not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Out of my house!